Hello, everybody. I have a very special guest that I want to introduce you all to today. Okay, her name is Kelly Lunt. She is actually my new personal spiritual life coach, an absolutely phenomenal life coach. Okay, I'm introducing you all to her because for those of you who've been following me for a while, you know that especially for the tarot card reading community, I'm much more about changing your future and changing the timelines that you're on and creating a better reality rather than to like sit around and just kind of like wait for some future to randomly happen to you, you know? So that's why I'm bringing her on. And anyway, I guess, Kelly, the way I'd like to kick this video off is a question that I see very, very frequently in my comments and even in like personal readings and stuff. And that is essentially, why did I have this bad thing happen to me when I'm younger?
Oh, that is such a good question, Rich. And the answer is actually very simple for that one. Some of you might actually even be dissatisfied with it. And it's simple. There's vibrations. If you guys are following Rich and he's in a law of attraction, you guys know this, you understand that. What you emanate, you get back. And so think about it. When a baby's born, it can do nothing for itself. If you put a baby on the street, it would die. That's pretty helpless, yes?
Yeah.
So it's at a vibration of powerless, which is one of the lowest vibrations you could be at. So what that means is when you're born, you are born in a helpless, powerless state, making you a potential perfect vibrational match for, an abusive parent. Some people
Yeah.
are born into, yeah. And I such a simple answer, right? Like, I wish it was more complex, guys, but that's essentially why.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that I've learned is that simplicity is actually bliss. There's a lot of people, especially in the spiritual community, that love to overcomplicate everything. And I always tell people that if somebody's making it really convoluted and hard to follow, I tend to try to shy away from that. But anyway, a lot of the people that I do personal readings for tend to get stuck in these like really toxic cycles and can't seem to get out of it, basically because that's the way they were brought up and raised.
Yeah. And so that makes, yes, that does happen. And it actually kind of ties into what we were talking about of why did this like bad thing happen to me when I was younger. So pretty simple reason why that happened. But there is a certain element of, your thoughts. You think a thought enough, it becomes a belief system. A belief system is what you're actually manifesting in. So sometimes people, like a person who's, say 400 pounds and they, for one day, right, 400 pounds, you have a lot of momentum of that relationship with food, of living life that way. So you have a lot of momentum. You thought a lot of thoughts to get a belief system. I'm just heavy boned. I'm just thick skinned. It's genetics. By the time you're saying stuff like that, I'm just thick skinned, I'm just thick boned, it's in my genes, it's my family, it's the belief system of I'm supposed to be fat. It's not a thought anymore. So if you were a child, every child's born into the helpless vibration. If you did kind of, get the short end of the stick and you got parents who weren't able to teach you everything you needed to teach, that's my really nice way of saying abuse.
Yeah, yeah.
um, yeah. You from the age of like 0 to 7, all the parts of your brain aren't even formed. And your brain continues to form until about the age of 25. But 0 to 7, you don't have all of your brain formed. So that's 7 years worth of thoughts that have now become belief systems. So if you did kind of get the short end of the stick and you got the unhelpful parents, you have it now as a belief system. Bad things happen to me. People don't love me. People don't want to help me. So you have that as your belief system. Now, the trick is when you think a thought, it's called a vibrational wobble. Like an example of that would be like a woman who's like super gorgeous, so good with the men, and men just love buying her things. But then she goes on one date with one guy who says, you need to get over yourself. That could cause doubt in her. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a thought though, because she has built up momentum of a belief system of men like to buy me things. One bad date, she might go home and have a doubt. If she lets that doubt keep going, that will become her new belief system. And now she's attracting men who want her to pay her, however
Yeah.
that might play out. Yeah. So the point is, if you kind of can get to a ground zero neutral point with your vibrations, you can catch it when it's a thought and go, you know what, that was just one date. That was a man who doesn't view relationships the way I do. I like men who do this. That wobble's cleaned up. She's still now manifesting with your belief system.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you're born that way, you had those parents, you have a solid belief system of like bad things happen to me. So that's how you get stuck. But I want to speak to everyone who's watching this video right now. Let's say you're 30 and you're, oh, I can't have a love life because my dad wasn't in my life. So I don't know what it's like to have a man in my life. Oh, I can't have the kind of money I want to make because my parents were born into poverty and didn't teach me that. And look, here's the stats and the studies from all those sciencey people that say you repeat what your parents taught you. If you guys are 30, do you really want to be that 60-year-old who's, oh, I can't have money because of my parents? It's more about, are you ready to release using your childhood? This is going to sting for some of you. Are you ready to release your childhood as your reason, as your justification as to why you can't have what you want right now? You are supposed to outgrow your family, your heritage, your launch pad, your generational karma. Think of it this way. The first humans that came down, starting a fire is probably one of the first things they taught themselves. And it was probably laborious and hard. Do you guys know how to start a fire? It's hard. When they had their first child, that child grew up observing it. That child could probably start a fire in an hour where it took that first round of humans days, months to figure it out. Your parents are simply your launch pad. You can launch off of it and learn more. That child who had an easier time with the fire probably thought, why don't we figure out how to get a roof over our head? That child's child probably thought, well, why don't we get walls so the wind doesn't blow the fire out? Then the next generation was probably, well, how do we get a floor underneath us so that we're raised off the cold ground? You are supposed to outgrow your parents. You gotta process some of those old emotions if that's the state you're at. And then you have to be willing to say, so my parents didn't teach me everything I needed to learn. I know that I want XYZ in my life and I'm ready to go there. You can change your future. And if any of you are getting stuck there, I'm offering free breakthrough calls for you guys because we need to get out of blaming our parents.
Yeah. Yeah. So this does go into inner child and subconscious work, right? Like actually changing the limited belief systems.
Yes, exactly. It does. So, but I need everyone to hear that there's like two kind of paths to growth. The inner child work and the age regression helps you clean up the past, kind of like a farmer. You just bought some like raw land, right? They need to first go in and like pick all the rocks out of the way, get all the weeds out, maybe clear some trees so that they can actually have room to plant their garden. Yeah. So new weeds are always going to grow because there's all those seeds there. You had from birth to 7, where you're hearing all these thoughts from other people, you're always going to have weeds you can pluck. At some point, once you clear the field enough, you have to start planting the new seeds. So this is where you have to, if you are not getting the same kind of results from your personal and spiritual growth, from inner child work, past life regression, age regression, shadow work, the completion process, it goes by so many names. If you're not getting the growth anymore from that, you have to start developing the new. And that's custom to everyone because everyone has a different launch point. But that's kind of why I'm offering those free calls, because I can help show you guys what the new you need to develop for what you want in your life. But let's talk about when the inner child work and shadow work is good. Yeah, Rich, is that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's something that I actually need a lot of work with too, and that's the thing. That's why this is so helpful.
um, I love doing this. Thanks so much for having me on here to help more people.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so inner child work, age regression, all that shadow work, all that going back into the past and cleaning up those old thoughts you got when you were younger. If you have a repressed emotion or an oppressed, you have, for whatever reason, suppressed your emotion around it, that's when it's so good to go back and clean it up. Because your thoughts, which you're aware of, you think it long enough, it becomes your belief system. By the time it's a belief system, that's just the way you view the world. Well, that's
Hmm.
just how it works.
Yeah.
That when if you say thoughts like that's just how it works, you know it's a belief system. So
Yeah.
in inner child work, you go back to the first time you had that memory. Like, let's do an example of a working mom, single working mom with 3 boys. She's working like 3 jobs just to try to keep a roof over their head and like feed them. She gets a day off, and like one day off, that's probably rare for her, right? 3 jobs. And she takes her 3 boys to the movie theater. She's happy, she's excited. Her boys are like, whoa, what's going on? And then one of them goes, Mom, can I have popcorn? This poor woman barely scraped her pennies together to even get her boys there. So she might say something like, honey, I've told you enough times, like, you got, like, that's not for people like us. Honey, what? Do you think money just grows off of trees? Like,
Yeah.
any of those unhelpful thoughts, that kid could, oh, I'm not worthy of popcorn. Popcorn isn't for someone like me. If you internalize that emotion, repress it, it becomes an old wound that when you're older in life, you're like, oh, I'm not going to go for the promotion. You may not be aware of why, because of that memory, but it was, no, like they would never hire me for the director level. That's not for people like me. Or no, they want someone smarter. They want someone more educated.
Hmm.
So if you go back in inner child and go, oh, wait, I just made that belief system because mom didn't have the money to buy me popcorn, you kind of realize how silly that is. So if you're at the beginning stages of your spiritual awakening, cleaning up those repressed emotions is like pulling a lot of weeds out of the ground for the farm. So it's helpful. However, if you hit a point where you're not like instant manifesting after cleaning up an inner child or an old limiting belief, you need to start developing the new. Because everyone, if you clean up an inner child, they tend to get like a good result. Like, oh my God, the client came in, or whoa, I, processed my emotions around my absent dad and I got a date in. Okay. But if you had childhood abuse, then that also means there were skills that you weren't developing. So if you clean up the inner child work and aren't getting those kind of instant manifestations, you have to start developing the new that you just missed out on.
Very fascinating. Very fascinating.
I know, right? I could talk about this like forever, guys. It's just both have a role. Sometimes you need to clean up the old so that you don't have those kind of subconscious things blocking you off. But sometimes you just need to develop those new skills that you missed out on. And for everyone, it's going to be different because everyone, sometimes they missed out on skills when they were 2 or 3. Sometimes they missed out on skills when they were 7. Sometimes they were older and they had like just a really bad event when they were older, but didn't have the childhood abuse. So they just maybe missed out on like 20-year-old skills. Like that's kind of why I'm offering those free breakthrough calls for your followers, because it's going to be so different to everyone. But I hope that helped explain that more. I can keep talking forever, Rich.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's like I said, I will only promote things that really, really, really like if I see something and that light bulb goes off in my head and I'm like, dude, that's the real deal. That's why I have you on here, because like your work absolutely blows me away and it's helping me a whole lot. Okay. So
Good. I'm glad.
unless you had anything else you wanted to go off on, like another tangent or anything like that, I was going to go ahead and wrap it up.
Well, I certainly hope that this helped. Oh, I just want to speak directly to the hearts of your audience. I hope this helped you guys at least kind of gain a little understanding of why something bad can happen to you when you're like so young, pure, and innocent. Um, Help recognize, yes, sometimes the shadow work and inner child work is vital, but I want you guys to like not get stuck. I don't want you guys to keep either getting stuck because you don't know how to guide the inner child work, hence why I'm offering a free breakthrough call for guys, or I don't want you to get stuck in continuing to inner child, inner child, inner child, like, because sometimes you just need to plant the new crop. So, guys, there's so much hope once you're willing to let go of your childhood as being the reason, excuse, justification for why you don't have what you want. There is so much more ahead of you. The vacations, the peace of mind, the happiness, the mental clarity. Yes, the money and the men and the boys and that are the women, whichever way, that too. You do not have to remain stuck in your past. I'm really happy to help if you get just book a breakthrough call. And I'm so happy to help you guys break free from the past.
Cool. Awesome. Good deal. Well, all right. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up, everybody. I just really wanted to make this video just because like I said, I'm always looking to help provide people with hope, for the future. Because like I said, with what I do here, most of the people are just kind of sitting around wondering what is going to happen to them, So I just really wanted to make this video to really get it across. Like, I can't stress enough that you actually can have hope of creating a future that you would want, like your own outcome, your own reality, So anyway, no matter what your upbringing is, right?
Yeah. Are we gonna put like a link in the pinned comments or description for people guys,
actually, I'm gonna put it. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the description, and I'm gonna pin a comment in the comment section. So if you all want one of the free breakthrough calls, she's offering those. Look in the comments section and in the description of the video. All right. So we are going to go ahead and get out of here, y'all. Have a good one.